Anyway.
All right, guys, let's make progress. OSP Vrs Cecilia, the former sanitation minister, wants the case expedited as seizure of money and freezing of accounts is biting. All right, we have a story on daily front page of the Daily Guide. It says Cecilia fights OSP, and the story there is on page 3 of the paper. Let me just read a quick bite of it. Former Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources, Cecilia Dapa, has filed an affidavit in opposition to an application filed by the Office of the Special Prosecutor seeking an order of confirmation of the money seized in her home, as well as confirmation of the freezing of her bank accounts. Now, Madam Dapa, in her affidavit in opposition, describes the OSP's application as absurd, grounded on false allegations, and brought in utmost bad faith and brazen disregard for Act 959 in the early ruling of the High Court dated August 31st, 2023. Now, this whole back and forth business, where is it going? I'm sure you've been following it keenly. Where are we heading with this?
That's democracy. When we say the rule of law, people will take every advantage to use the law to do anything. I think this one, okay, the case is in court, but it's simple. The OSP, after seizing of the money, they did not go to court on time, and they filed that the OSP exceeded its mandate because it didn't go on time. And the court agreed with the past lawyers and asked OSP to defreeze the monies for her. And the OSP did that and momentarily and returned and said, I have frozen it again. And now the lawyers are in court and say, you can't do that because you are repeating the same action. It's not new money you have found in the house. It's the one that you said you have found, and the law says you did not apply on time for it, and therefore you should return. You can't return and say you are seizing the same money. Right. But the OSC says,
is he not allowed to?
It's about law. Whether it's what you call, maybe the lawyer said, they say double jeopardy. It's the same case.
It sounds like
it's the same issue. That this is my phone. You say you have seized it, and we went to court. The court said, give it back to me, and you return and say, though the court have given it, but I've seized it again. And I'm going to court and say, how? The thing you see, the court says you did not do what you are supposed to do, so you can't seize it. You say, oh, okay, if I erred the first time and I'm supposed to now I've seized it again, I'll go to court in time. And the rabbi said, no, by law they can't do that. They can't come back and say they are seizing the same thing. If you found something new and say you are seizing it, fine. But if it is the same monies that the court has ordered you to defreeze, then you have no business coming back for it. So I think I've heard some lawyers, not openly, but publicly, yes, the lawyers are right. They believe that in court, what the OSP is doing, the court will still rule against them. That's what some lawyers have said. Others also think that, well, the law empowers the OSP to seize, and therefore, if they failed in first attempt, they made an argument that they can still do it. So now we wait for the court to tell us whether indeed the OSP, after losing a case or an application on the same item, could go back and say, though I could not meet the timelines in the first place, I'm re-seizing, and this time I'll meet the timeline. Whether it is something that the court will agree with, I think we wait to see. I always say the high-profile cases like this, when they prolong in court, it makes the public to lose confidence in the whole process. It's important that such cases, both the judiciary, the investigating body, and all those that do prosecution will do these things within time for people to say that at least the case was concluded within a reasonable time, and that they believe that everybody involved has done his or her work within time. I don't want this the past case to drag on, because we have had high-profile corruption cases or alleged corruption cases to say, be in court for 4, 5, 6 years now. And if you ask people, where is the state of Opunike, they say, oh, Charlie, that's that case. Because clearly, case has been in court for far too long.
It's too long.
And I think that this back and forth banter between the OSP and if care is not taken for this case to be disposed of within a certain time, and it becomes back, forth, and it stretches for a long period of time in court, people will just turn around and say it is the normal thing of trying to protect people who are rich and powerful. And that will be another dent in the fight against
corruption
corruption in the system. So I think that both the OSP and everybody involved in this case should be mindful and should be minded. As I've said, this OSP office is 5 years. We are yet to see a significant milestone of a case done and completed. And therefore, this one that they have involved themselves in, they should make sure that within, as much as possible, within the shortest possible time, they get all the evidence they need. They are able to prove that they have the onus to prove that this money really is tainted or some way. They should be able to do this within time, because truth of the matter is that, look, the public really, as we speak, don't really have much confidence that we as a country, state institutions as a country, are really prepared and willing to fight corruption. So this case, the way it has really received huge publication, media publication, public interest, any delay in disposing of this case will really create a bad image. It will just worsen the situation.
Larry?
You see, there are two legal axioms or principles that says that justice delayed is justice denied, and then justice hurried is justice buried. So you want to tread cautiously in dealing with some of these things. The OSP said that they were investigating. They needed to trace sources of where these monies had come from, and where, who, whatever, and whether or not Auntie Citi can, prove, her rights of ownership. Okay. Now, a court says that, listen, should have come within a certain time, because that's what the law says. The law says, and all that. I mean, the law was made by man to govern society or to regulate affairs of society. Now, if the state officer says that, listen, I was investigating this thing and I needed to write to banks, the banks would have to sit down to determine whether or not the letter is right in coming, or whether the institution that is writing to us is, had that mandate to do that. Obviously, there are going to be delays.
True. You
get it. And so, if it took the OSP some time to get there, I think one will want to understand why it took time.
Okay.
Again, if he had hurriedly done that, we all know how that could go against, let's say, the ex-minister's image, let me put it that way, or her
reputation.
Reputation. The man says, we were trying to find out the source of the money and whether or not she owns it. I think that shouldn't be too much. I'm sure also that in there could also be an act of discretion on the part of the judge to say that, okay, listen, the man was right. Let's give him some time to do this. Can you complete this investigation within this time or so? I'm sure that wouldn't be, too much of a thing to do. But for me, what is more striking is this. I think some of these things don't help Auntie Cecilia. Let me put Cecilia Dapa. Because people, she's been called all manner of names. A thief in some instances, a criminal, all manner of people have said that, okay, these are bribe monies, and so on. And then you hear that, the money belonged to a dead person, a dead man. The dead man's wife pops up and says that, something, I didn't know my late husband had all this money, so how come he never mentioned it to me? And so, listen, let the money come back. The recent one I'm hearing is that she's saying that the late brother left the money with her so that she'll use it to pay the fees of...
Meanwhile, the wife is there. Very interesting.
That was in respect of some discovery that some money was sent to the same account, and that money was sent by the late brother.
So the
So he's saying that money that they said the dead brother has said is not a dead brother per se, but it was mentioned to the account for her to pay the children's school fees.
Look, they said the money was coming regular long after the man died. So monies
were moving.
From the dead man account to that account.
Yeah, that was what she was explaining.
Do you get it?
It's called ghost mechanics.
Ghost what?
Mechanics.
Sorry. So you would, if I were her, or if I were advising her, I would tell her that, you know something, allow this whole process to go through. And that the process will have a way of exonerating you, particularly when the president believes in your innocence. And believes in your integrity. And says that, oh, you know something.
You'll be vindicated.
You'll be vindicated. So allow the process to vindicate you. Say that, listen, OSP, do whatever investigation you have to do, because I believe I'm clean. Because I did nothing wrong. I haven't, you know, this is not the money that came through corrupt means and so on and so forth. And that, I want this whole thing to go through. Do a press conference and say that, guys, you know something? Indeed, this money was found. I sold this property and then I got this. I did that and I got it. And so I want to submit myself. I'm lying prostrate before the OSP. And then the court investigates me. I'm ready to strip naked. Do you understand? Then you are helping the system. But if you appear to be fighting the system, you are giving me signals. Particularly when the president, as I said,
has total faith in him.
Thank you.
Okay.